So maybe you haven't been in a toxic relationship before, but I know that you know someone that has. And we all have been force-fed by every blog on the internet, the most ghetto, the most ridiculous, the most unhinged excuse for a couple the world has ever seen, Blueface and Chrisean rock for the past few months.
The fuck, this is a busted lip, busted nose, you lying.
But look, I am not here to talk to you about them beating each other up or each other's respective families or even apparently having a baby on the way and not knowing exactly who the dad is. No, we're not going to talk about that. This is the Church of Joe Stone podcast where we give you news you can use. They tell you what happened and I give you 3 rules to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. So rule number 1, punching is not foreplay. Look, if you constantly find yourself bobbing and weaving every time you get into an argument or pulling glass out of the back of your head during a disagreement, then maybe that's not the relationship for you. If you find yourself rolling around on the ground and wrestling on a street corner with your boo like a couple of bums over a ham sandwich and a cigarette, then maybe that's a point where you should start rethinking your life decisions and your significant other. And this is for men and women because both Chrisean Rock and Blueface seem like they're the dangerous one in their relationship at any given moment. They are perfect examples of what happens when the woman is just as dangerous as the man and violent and toxic. I think Blueface is the victim here, the one we should be scared for. But that leads us to rule 2. No trust equals crazy people. What do I mean? Blueface don't trust Chrisean Rock along with the man no matter how many teeth she is missing. Rick Ross took a pic and it was a problem. Lil Baby said what's up and it was a problem. And apparently they're not sure who the baby's dad might be. And even though I think that deep down he thinks that it's his, I think that makes it even worse. And bro been panicking. Like he tried to get her to get rid of that baby by any means possible. But either way, it's obvious that she doesn't trust him either. So you have an unraveling, spiraling back and forth of nothingness where everyone's insecure, no one feels safe in this relationship, and instead of finding ways to love each other, you just continually lash out because you're not getting what you need and you're too broken to give the other person what they need. And this brings us to number 3. Don't have a kid with someone you might have to stab at some point. Now look, I like a good knife fight as much as the next guy, but what I don't condone is bringing babies into your crazy shit. And that's the reason why this all kind of ties it all up. It's a miracle that they haven't unalived one another already. Their situation is dangerous about half the time, and now with the child on the way, they both have gotten worse, or at least the internet shenanigans have. I honestly hope that this whole thing is a hoax, to be honest. It's one thing to choose to be toxic, dangerous, and terrible to each other. It's a whole nother thing to bring an entirely real life, living, breathing child into your BS who didn't ask to be there and doesn't deserve it, and then subject them to that level of stupidity. Besides potentially ruining another human being, you both turned what could be a temporary toxic relationship into a permanent one, which I don't think either one of you really want. And look, this is not a judgment on them. We are only learning from their mistakes. I am not here to judge anyone. I am only saying, unless you want these types of results, don't do these things. Follow the rules so you won't lose. I am Joe Stone, and this is the Church of Joe Stone podcast. They just tell you what happened, not tell you how to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. Bye.